The Syrian Arab army controls Jaeroud and Rankous in Qalamoun surroundings and cut terrorist illegal crossings to Lebanon. The Foreign and Ex-Patriots Ministry states that growing danger of terrorism in Syria and its escalation recently in Iraq necessitate international joint efforts. And in Damascus, the first Youth and Short Films Festival concludes its activities. Good afternoon, welcome to our news bulletin. I'm Dania Nizam. The Foreign and Ex-Patriots Ministry sent two identical letters to the Secretary General of the United Nations and the Chairman of the Security Council concerning the terrorists' operations carried out by the armed terrorist groups in al-Harra village in Hama countryside on the 20th of the current month, which led to the killing of 35 civilians, including children and women, and the wounding of more than 50 others. The ministry stressed that the growing danger of terrorism in Syria and its escalation recently in Iraq necessitates international joint efforts to fight terrorism without differentiation or double standards. These issues put to the test the international credibility to fight terrorism and implement UN resolutions. Units of the Syrian army eliminated terrorists trying to sneak into western Rankous plains and restored security and stability to the whole area. This operation complements the Syrian army's operation that first started in Qalamoun area as they laid full control over the area surrounding Qalamoun, including Rankous, which has cut off the illegal supplying routes and crossings of terrorists from the Lebanese borders. The Syrian Arab Army continued its operations against armed terrorist groups in several areas across Syria's provinces, eliminating and injuring a number of terrorists and destroying their vehicles and equipment. In Aleppo province, army units carried out operations targeting terrorist gatherings and hideouts in Aleppo Old City and in Samaria, Deir Jamal, Hritan, Bayanoun, Sheikh Said, Al-Atarib, Indan, Kafr Hamra, Al-Gondol, Al-Halq and Al-Zabdiya in Aleppo countryside. The operations resulted in the death of a number of terrorists and destroying their vehicles, some of which were equipped with machine guns. In Homs countryside, army units targeted terrorist gatherings near Kharab al-Waer Bridge, the farms of al-Waer, Sharshouh, al-Naqab farm, al-Sa'in and near al-Jazr oil field in Palmyra countryside. Due to the increasing threats facing the whole world of foreign terrorists which are being trained and sent to Syria, then coming back to their countries to commit terrorist acts there, Richard Barrett, former head of the Department of Anti-Terrorism Security Apparatus outside Britain, has warned against the British intelligence inability of prosecuting and keeping track of hundreds of British terrorists who have returned back to Britain after committing horrible crimes against the Syrians and Iraqis alike. Member of the UN International Investigation Committee on Syria, Carla De Ponte, said that terrorist acts committed by extremist groups like Jabhat al-Nusra and the Islamic State of Iraq and Sham and foreign mercenary cause massive and unbearable suffering to the Syrian people, committing acts of murder, torture and besieging cities. In an interview given to Russia's ITA TASS agency, Del Ponte said that the spread of extremist groups, terrorist groups that seek to establish an Islamic State in Syria are growing in number, around 700 groups so far with no unified leadership. She pointed out that a large number of foreign mercenaries and extremists joined these groups in Syria with the aim of establishing an Islamic caliphate, which escalated the crisis and hinders the delivery of humanitarian aid. The British newspaper The Times wrote under the title "The Gulf States Fund Daesh." Donors from the private sector in the Gulf States are financing Daesh with millions of dollars to escalate the Syrian crisis. The Daily revealed that Daesh has financial assets estimated at £1.2 billion, and it is almost self-sufficient. The organisation has a few thousands of fighters in Iraq and Syria, but its fortune enables it to pay for mercenaries. The article goes on to say that Daesh receives the fund via bank transfers or bags of money placed in collection points in Kuwait and Qatar before transferring them to Turkey, where they will cross the borders to Syria. In Iraq, security forces supported by tribes foiled a terrorist attack by the Islamic State in Iraq and Sham, South Salah al-Din, killing 149 terrorists in Al-Jail, Talkif, Tikrit, Fallujah and Samura. On the other hand, Iraqi forces eliminated more than 230 terrorists around Bashar refinery, while border guards confronted a terrorist attack on the crossing borders with Syria, as Al-Ubaid tribe of Kirkuk declared war against the Islamic State, Iraq and Sham organization. Moreover, security sources revealed the involvement of the U.S. authorities in cooperation with Azza ad-Duri and Hadith Dari in breaking into al-Mosul and Salah ad-Din. Prime Minister Dr. Wael said the power of attorney documents management, issuance and archiving system, a project that the Justice Ministry is currently working on, is part of the government's efforts within the framework of the e-government project. Speaking to journalists after a presentation about the project at the Justice Ministry building, al-Halaqi said the project is also part of the ministry's efforts for overhauling and automating judicial work. The project is a significant step forward in the documentation and archiving of the power of attorney documents amid the current crisis and myriad attacks by terrorists against justice palaces, banks and the transport directorates. The Russian President Vladimir Putin expresses support for the ceasefire decision in the eastern area of Ukraine by the Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko. In a statement issued by the Kremlin, Putin called both sides to stop violence and start dialogue in order to reach a peaceful solution to the crisis in Ukraine, noting that it is not acceptable the falling of mortar shells on the Russian lands after announcing the ceasefire, which would not only damage the properties but also threaten the lives of citizens. The first Youth and Short Films Festival yesterday concluded its activities by award ceremony at the Opera House in Damascus. The festival, which attracted a large audience, had started on June 16th with about 50 short and documentary films. The festival comes as a gesture of appreciation for General Organization for Cinema, which was founded in 1963. Spin. The film was awarded the gold medal, with A Step of Hope coming second with the silver medal, before Lever, which was awarded the bronze medal. 10 Minutes After Birth won the Best Scenario and Julia won the Best Director prize. Golden Cinema film was characterized by Chronicles history of the Syrian cinema that produced its first work, Innocent Convict, in 1928. With this, we end the news for today. Thank you for watching. After the break, stay with me with our economic and business news.